Hey mama, welcome back to the One Income Family Podcast. Is your money spread thin from trying to reach all of your goals at the same exact time? I've been there. You put a little bit of emergency fund here, a little bit towards vacation there, and you never actually get anywhere. You never actually reach your goals. That's the thing about money and time. There is a set amount, and that's not going to change. The hard part is deciding what is actually important. Have you ever sat down and analyzed what is going on in your budget? More than likely, there is something in there that is less important and it's taking up space for what is truly important. I've heard it said many times, and specifically for time management, but it works well for money, so I'm going to paraphrase it for money. Okay, so here goes. If it's not in your budget, it's not truly important to you. Let me repeat that. If it's not in your budget, it's not truly important to you. And that is what I'm going to help guide you through today, is prioritizing your goals so that your budget is showing what is important to you rather than just things being thrown in there because maybe someone else told you that that's what needs to be in there, or maybe because it's just kind of been what you've been doing and you've never went back through and changed things to your lifestyle now, right? So that is what we're going to talk about. We are going to go through your goals and we are going to figure out what is actually truly important to you so you can put that in your budget. So go grab that stroller and enjoy some time for you, and let's get to it. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Alrighty, so before we hop into today's episode, I do want to stop and remind you that for the month of September, I am offering free budget audits, and I don't want you to miss out. During this 1-hour call, we are going to identify the problem areas in your budget and budgeting system so that you can start sticking to your budget. You're going to get an action plan of the next steps for you to take so that you can start building out a budget that you want to stick to, and you can start achieving those financial goals, right? Because that is what we want in the end. But that's not all. 2 weeks after our call, I will check back in with you and see how things are going. See what you've done with your budget and celebrate with you, because fixing your budget, let's be honest, it's like updating the wiring in your house. It's not seen and it doesn't feel like progress. So don't do this work alone. Grab a free budget audit and let's see where it can take you. Booking a call is as simple as sending an email to mollybennell@gmail.com with interested in the subject line. Don't miss out. Others have grabbed this opportunity, so don't miss out on yours. Again, all you have to do is email interested to mollybennell@gmail.com. That's MOLLY, B as in boy, ENELL @gmail.com. And I will see you in my inbox. When my husband and I first became a one-income family, which I have talked about on a few other episodes, if you want to go check that out. But just to sum it up, we became a one-income family because the Lord provided for a way for us to get out of like our car payment that we had, because it was way too much to be able to live on one income. And so when we finally got to that point and we were able to become a one income family, our budget was literally a bare bones budget. I can remember budgeting, and this is when I did my number one rule, which is where, you take care of the most important things first, right? And so once I did that, what we were left over with was literally, maybe if we were lucky, $50 a paycheck. And that would mean like that was the money after all of the bills were paid, after groceries, after gas. And so that's all we had for eating out if we wanted to eat out. That's all we had for putting towards savings or for paying down debt. We didn't have a whole lot of income. And so trying to decide where that money was going really was a no-brainer at the time, because we wanted to spend it, right? We wanted to live our lives and not feel like we were stuck, unable to do anything, right? And so as my husband climbed the ladder, because at the time he was in a job where he was the low man on the totem pole, and then he became not supervisor, crew chief, and then supervisor, he grew his income, right? He grew what he earned. And so our income grew. And we went from $50 to, I don't remember what that was at the time, because now it's different. But it still was like, oh my gosh, now I have to decide where all this income is going. And I was so used to the thought of, well, this is all I have left, so I'm going to spend it and enjoy my life. And so lifestyle creep just kept coming. And even though we had more money that we could throw at things to get rid of debt or to start saving for stuff, we kind of just blew it. Like, I remember one time sitting down and really wanting this little bench thing to put into our kitchen, because that's where our door is, and I wanted a place to hang coats up and purses and backpacks, but also have like a little bench that we could sit on. And we got our paycheck in, and I did all the budgeting. I paid the bills, made sure money was in the account for groceries and gas and all the important stuff, right? And what was left over, I'm like, ooh, I can get this little hutch thing, whatever it's called. And I talked to my husband about it. I'm like, ooh, can we get this? Can we get this? And because it was like $100 or $200 after that paycheck. Well, if you think about it, if it's $100 or $200 that paycheck, then we have a total, because it's probably duplicated the next paycheck because we were paid bi-weekly. We had a total of like maybe $400 to $500 that we could have put towards something more extravagant, something that was actually going to move the needle in our financial journey than just buying a hutch that I didn't necessarily need, because I didn't end up buying it. And I've got other things that work just as well, right? But the point is not that I didn't buy it. The point is that my mindset was so focused on wanting to spend the money and wanting to get something that I wanted right there in the moment, versus actually thinking about what I could do with that money for my future, for my next month, that maybe I could be in less debt than I am today, right? And so that's kind of what I want to talk about with you today, is that we don't exactly always think about that. We don't think about the possibilities that we have. I didn't think about the possibilities of that until my husband got the job that he has now, and we have so much extra income that I was like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to do with all this extra money. I'm not used to having like $300-$400 extra a paycheck, right? Because that would make it sometimes $1,000 extra a month than what I'm used to. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so overwhelmed with all these ideas and possibilities of what I could do with it. That's what made me sit down and actually be like, okay, I have to make a plan. I have to figure out what this money is going to do and its purposes, so that I don't just go out and blow it on stuff that isn't going to move my needle forward along my financial journey, right? And so Again, that is what I want to talk about today. I want to help you decide what steps to take along the way. And no, it's not going to be the same for everyone. Now, I'm going to say the very first thing I'm going to tell you will be the same for everyone because it is the most important, and I will get into that when I get there. But the rest of it, it's like just let your dreams come up with whatever it is that you want to do. Like, okay, I just want to get into it. So let's just jump into it. But that's what today is all about, is the possibilities and the dreams, and then actually getting it on paper so that you can actually do it. And you're actually knowing where that money is going to go, and the desire to spend it right now in this moment and just like let it go by the wayside and never see it again is going to be like, oh, wait, there's something more important that I'd rather put that money towards than maybe going out to eat when I can pack a lunch or something like that, right? So let's dive in to what I have for you. So the number one most important thing that I want you to do on this financial journey, if you have not gotten to this point yet, I want you to not worry about debt. I want you to not worry about spending. I want you to worry about getting an emergency fund set up. No, I'm not talking about like the 3 to 6 months expenses. If you listen to Dave Ramsey, I'm 100% I 100% agree with this part of his system, which is where you focus on getting $1,000 to $2,000. I say 2,000 just because things have went up, and plus it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. But if all you can handle right now is 1,000, then get that 1,000 saved up. But 1 to 2,000, whichever one you prefer, whichever one you feel more comfortable with, get that saved up. Or you're going to find yourself going backwards instead of forwards along this journey. For the reason being, you'll take out more credit card debt when something happens. If your washing machine's about to go out, get that set up so that you can pay for it and not have to put it on a credit card. If you're about to need tires on your car, get that set up. And no, that's not necessarily an emergency fund, but it's still something that's going to cost a lot of money. So you need to focus on getting that done, because if a tire were to blow right now, you would have to use a credit card, right? So I don't want you to have to use a credit card and then be paying interest on top of it. We want you to get out of that cycle. So definitely 100% get an emergency fund set up first. But then after that, I want you to sit down with your husband. I want you to make a list of the things that you want to do. What's going on in your life right now that's more priority? What's the things that if you could just brain dump everything that needs money onto a piece of paper, do it. Figure it out and then put it in an order. Number it from 1 to 30 or however many ideas you have. Maybe you just have a few things that you would like to achieve, or maybe you have a whole lot. Like maybe you want to get a bulk pantry set up, or maybe you want to focus on Christmas right now because you haven't been doing that. Maybe you want to save up for a car or a vacation. I mean, the possibilities are endless on how much of a necessity it is, or how much of a dream or a goal in the future that you'd like to be. Maybe you're saving up for a house, right? Maybe you want to get that debt paid off. Write it all down. Figure out what that list is. Maybe you also would like to add something that is a recurring thing, a recurring sinking fund to your savings for things like managing your house or managing your car or the repairs, right? So that you have that saved up when something happens and you don't have to use that emergency fund. You can use the fund for those specific things, right? That is what you need to figure out. You need to figure out the things that you and your husband would like to have in the budget, but then you need to prioritize it. Because here's the part that's going to get you from actually achieving those to feeling like you're stuck. You have to put it in priority, and then you have to pick it, and you have to maybe pick 1 or 2 and throw as much money as you can towards it. Instead of like throwing $10 here and $10 there and $20 there, that's going to take forever to build up, right? Pick what's most important. And that's why I said definitely the emergency fund first. But after that, pick what's most important to you. Get the big bulk things set up and done so that it's not like dragging out. A great example, no, this isn't financial wise, but a great example is when I moved to my house that I'm currently living in. I grew up here and the inside had never changed. Well, I mean, we remodeled the kitchen when I was in college, but it needed like a lot of work. The insulation, because it's a really old, like 100-year-old house, had fallen down. So I'm sure it wasn't doing very good. My dad had just put in new windows, so they weren't insulated very well. And I was like spread thin. I was trying to get everything painted. I was trying to put up new insulation and drywall, get it all plastered. And I was working in multiple different areas instead of just focusing on one area. Like if I would sit back and think about it, I would have focused on one area at a time and then gotten them ready to move in and then went to a new spot, right? But I didn't. I just tried to do everything at the same time, and that got overwhelming to the point where I still haven't finished the projects. I've been living here for 3 years now, and I just finally, well, there's still a little bit left to do, but I just finally got the kitchen all a matching color. Yes, I still need to do a second coat on the window trim, but after that, and touch up because my child decided to pick off the paint when it was fresh. But like that is what I needed to do was focus on that. I also, if we go on the outside of the house, I was so spread thin. I was trying to paint the outside because we were trying to get the windows sealed. And so in order to paint the house, I had to paint everything at the same time. And I still have been working on now a 3-year project of getting the outside painted as well. Like it has been that big of a project that it's just been overwhelming. Nothing's been completely finished. I haven't gotten anything finished, and those projects are just wearing on me and making me frustrated. I'm like, why can I not just finish that? I don't have the motivation. I don't have the desire. And all we do is keep starting new projects. That's what it's like with your budget. That's what it's like if you don't just pick one, focus on it, get it done, and then go to the next one. Instead of spreading yourself so paper thin that you can never physically achieve what your goals are, you need to pick one. It's going to be, yes, it's more of a struggle. It's more of a, okay, well, that means that I'm going to be focusing on this for a long time, especially if it's maybe a debt journey. Debt can take a long time. It's not something that is pretty. It's not something that feels like all this weight coming off when you make large payments to it. Instead, it's like, oh my gosh, what could I be doing with that money? But instead, I'm throwing it at debt and I'll never see it again. It's not like I can pull it out of savings account and use it if I need it, right? That is what is so hard about the debt journey, which I don't really want to go down that road right now. But that is what I want you to do, is find a way to be happy and motivated, like with small wins. Maybe if you're on the debt journey and that's the goal that you choose to focus on right now so that you can have more income coming in, make it be, instead of, oh my gosh, I have to do this, make it be like, okay, if I get it down to maybe this number. So we're going to use even numbers right now for easy math, but say you have a loan of $5,000. Do something when it gets down to $1,000. Like throw yourself a little party, go out and eat, take a break, be okay with not throwing some money at it so that you can celebrate that win. Then do another 1,000 and celebrate that win. Be excited that it's going down instead of going, okay, there goes more money, there goes more money, there goes more money, there goes more money. It kind of feels depleting. Now, when it comes to the savings, yes, you get more excited. You can watch it grow, and then you actually are able to get the thing, because that's usually a lot smaller of a goal, like a financial amount, unless it's like a car, because it could be the same thing. But definitely find a way to make it exciting, and don't spread yourself thin. Figure out what your goals are. Maybe if you're wanting to do like a maintenance repair kind of thing for the house, instead of doing a monthly payment towards it, do like a freeze. Like when you're this also works for your emergency fund. And I suggest this for your emergency fund. Put a spending freeze, like do a spending or no spending challenge for a month or two. See if you can go and not spend anything, so that you can throw all of that extra money towards your emergency fund, towards your Christmas fund, towards whatever fund you are trying to get up and get there quickly. Because once that is crossed off, you can move on to the next thing and get excited, right? Because it's all about that excitement. It's all about being able to move forward to the next thing, to be able to check it off the list, because, oh my goodness, it feels so good to check off things off your list, right? I don't know about you, but when I have something in a planner and it's a good day and I do something extra, I write it in my planner and I put a check mark by it, right? Because it just feels so good. Do the same thing with your budget. Find a way to be able to check mark as many things off as you can, especially if you're in a long journey, like a debt payoff journey, or trying to build up money for your down payment on a house or your car. If you want to pay it all like out of pocket instead of using a loan, because that would be a great thing to do. Find a way to get excited instead of sitting back and stressing about it and figuring out like what's going to move that needle forward, because that is going to do so much more for you than if you try to do everything at the same time. So when I'm talking about prioritizing, I'm not necessarily talking about like, and you obviously already get this, but I just want to touch on it again so that you understand. But I'm not talking about just figure out the top 5 or 6 things that you want to do and then piece it out. I'm talking about figuring out the first thing that you want to do and not worry about the rest unless it's a necessity, and get as much money thrown at it towards as possible, as much as you can. Maybe 1 month you take a spending freeze and you throw everything at your emergency fund. Then this next month you're like, okay, I'm gonna like detox from that and not like relax a little bit. Then the next month you do another spending freeze and you throw as much money at your maintenance account that you want, or towards some debt, right? You don't have to be like so rigid that you can't enjoy your life. There are going to be some months that you want to spend more. Maybe there's a month like I have where it's full of birthdays. January, we have, I don't know, like 6 or 7 birthdays in that month, all crammed together like in the same week. And it's like, oh my goodness. And so I'm not going to want to like use all my extra spending money to put it towards a goal, right? I'm going to want to use it in the moment so that I can enjoy those people and celebrate those people with gifts if that's something that I want to do, or going out to eat and spending time with them. That's what I'm going to want to do. So during that month, I'm not going to do a spending freeze. Or maybe I'm going to pull back the reins a little bit on the debt payoff so that I can enjoy that life. But I need to weigh the consequences like at the same time. Am I willing to give up that money for that month to spend it in the moment versus getting rid of a goal, right? Checking a goal off. We need to make sure that that might be a priority. I just want you to actually sit down and think about this stuff. I'm not telling you to do a spending freeze and never spend anything ever again until your goals are achieved. No, that would be terrible. I just want you to know of the possibilities that you can do, the things that you can set. If you want to still have some spending money, still have some spending money by all means. don't put yourself into a position where you're not going to achieve those goals at all. Like if you are currently using all of your extra money towards spending that month and you have nothing left over, then maybe doing a full spending freeze is not going to be helpful for you. Instead, it's going to make you go backwards and not want to do it because you're going to be so stressed out. So maybe instead just be like, okay, I'm going to not spend $100 this month, or maybe $200, depending on how comfortable you are with it and how much extra income you have, right? After your bills and everything is paid off. That is a good place to start. Do it slowly if you can. If you want to do it cold turkey and just do a full out spending freeze for the month, then do it. Maybe you only do it for a week instead of the full month. Like there are so many things that you can do. There's not just one way to do it. So figure out what you and your husband are comfortable doing and do it. Like slow progress is the best progress because it's going to last. So take one step instead of 10 and then 10 backwards. Take one step, one thing that you're comfortable with. And then once you're comfortable with that, take another step and then continue the process until you've reached whatever goal that you want to reach. Okay, so I'm going to go over what I've kind of been ranting on. But definitely make sure that the number one thing you do is get that emergency fund set up, because I don't want you to have to rely on credit card and go further into debt when an emergency happens. I know that's what a lot of people use their credit cards for, is those emergencies. But if you have money saved up for emergencies that you never, ever, ever touch unless it's an emergency, then you don't have to rely on those credit cards, right? So get that emergency fund set up as quickly as you possibly can. Number 2, sit down with your husband. I want to stress the importance of doing it with your husband, because if you do this by yourself, your goals and his goals are probably not going to be aligned. You are going to have to make some compromises on both sides. You're going to have to figure out which one is more pressing, which one is going to move your entire family's financial needle forward, right? That is what you have to figure out, and you cannot do it by yourself. You will have to make a meeting. Think of it like a business meeting and sit down. And yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable having these conversations, but it's healthy. It's what needs to be done so that you are not fighting over your finances. It's so that you are aligned. If you're the one doing all the budgeting and he never sees it, he's going to be like, okay, I feel left out. I don't like this. You're taking money away from me and I don't like it. That's not what we want for you. We want you to stay aligned. We want you to stay in sync. And definitely make sure that you're praying to God about this. Together, by yourselves, both are important. Making sure that you are, all 3 strings are tied together, right? Okay, so then make your list and order that list. And then from there, make sure that you focus on maybe 1 or 2 at the most of your goals at a time, so that you can actually check those goals off instead of being spread so thin that you never achieve anything. Like my house, I don't have finished products, right? I still have so many things that need to be finished, and it just stresses me out. And I've been doing so much on so many different areas that I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I don't care. I don't want to do it right now, so I'm not going to. Don't be like my house. Don't set your budget up like I did my house. Don't set it up for failure, right? Okay, so I again want to remind you that I have free budget audits open for the month of September. This is a 1-hour call where we figure out what your problem is, or your problem areas that you feel like are not going right in your budget, or maybe you don't feel like you have any problems, but you'd just like some tips and tricks. Definitely, we can do that. It can be whatever call you want it to be, just whatever questions you have, right? So come and get that free call before it's gone, so that you can have a clear plan of action to take to get your needle moving forward on your financial journey. And I about said goodbye. You might want to know how to get there, right? So if you would like to get a free budget audit, all you have to do is send an email to mollybennell@gmail.com with interested in the subject line. Again, there have been so many that have grabbed this opportunity and they are moving their needle forward. So don't miss out. All you have to do is email interested to mollybennell@gmail.com. That's Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL @gmail.com. And I will see you in my inbox. And with that being said, I will see you right back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you. Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast.